Hello, my people. Welcome to the Score Channel. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday. I know I'm having a wonderful Monday. I did a massive cleaning on my computer yesterday. It is running beautifully. One of those just full flush install, everything from scratch. Feels good. We're running smooth today and it feels nice. And we're going to be working on something else that's kind of smooth, which is the University of Chicago Supplementary essays today. Since I've been doing these like essay writing nights, I'm kind of getting into that vibe a little bit more. I feel like writing some more. And I was thinking, man, what better thing could I write than a UChicago essay prompt? Because these are known for being like the craziest prompts, okay? They're known for being these like wild, weird, wacky prompts that oftentimes, you know, are a little bit difficult to figure out because they're such random, weird questions. And I'm going to show you those today, and I'm going to pick one and work on it. I have taken a little look at these already, so I've gotten some ideas for what I want to write, but I'm not sold yet, and I'm going to keep looking at it, and I'm going to show you my process today a little bit. So the thing that makes these essays different is that they're much more creative. These are not your typical, you know, why do you want to go to this university essays? We've already covered that stuff. This is going to be more like a really weird kind of question. I think it's probably just best if I show you what I'm talking about. And by the way, say hi in the chat. I also want to just give a shout out to all the new subs out here. We got a bunch of new subs coming in. We're like a Jersey Mike's making new subs every day. And if it's your first time on the Score Channel, first time checking out a live stream, say hello. I'd like to say hello to you. So let me just show you what's going down here for University of Chicago. This is 2022. By the way, these change every year. So this video is going to be useless in a couple of months, but not totally useless. I guess you can still learn something. There's one question that everybody has to do, and then there's this one where you got to pick one option, and I want to talk about that today. That's what I want to focus on. These are the fun ones. Like, look at this first one. What if the moon were made of cheese? Or Neptune made of soap? Pick a celestial object, reimagine its material composition, explore the implications. That's a cool question. I ain't gonna lie. I think that's a cool question. I think it's the kind of question that I would like to answer. Not gonna lie. Nothing comes to my mind right away though. I'm gonna go through these and sort of see where I get inspired, where I've already had some ideas. I like this one. It's so simple. What's so easy about pie? You know, we got that expression, easy as pie, like something's really easy. That's a good question. I have some ideas on that one. I may run with that. Number 3 says in Homer's Iliad, Helen had a face that launched 1,000 ships. A Millie Helen is the beauty needed to launch one ship. So, all right, this one's saying like a New York minute is a period of time. Basically, invent a new unit of measurement. How is it derived and how is it used? I like the nerdiness of this one. I like the sort of, like it seems like the kind of thing I would do, make my own unit of measurement, but nothing comes to my mind right away. Like I'll definitely want to go towards the essay where I'm already feeling a little bit of inspiration. Number 4 says there's no such thing as a new idea. Mark Twain. All right. Is anything original or just a different combination of old ideas? Pick something, anything besides yourself and explain why it is or is not original. I like that one. Right away, I feel something interesting there because there's a lot of interesting things with that to unpack. First of all, the strong statement that there's no such thing as a new idea, I think is patently false, and I can make some pretty good arguments for why. Then there's the pick something that you think is and is not original. I definitely have some ideas right off the bat that I could run with here. So I think that this one has a lot of promise for me at the moment. I'm liking that one. Again, I like to think about which prompt kind of inspires me to want to say something about this. Like, where do I get maybe a sense of agreement or disagreement? And this is the first one where I've strongly disagreed with this statement. The other ones haven't really given me that same sort of thing because they're very open questions. This one kind of starts out with a statement, so it gives me something to work with, and I think maybe that's why I'm liking it more. It said that history repeats itself, but what about other disciplines? Choose another field, explain how it repeats itself. That's kind of cool. Chemistry, philosophy. What other field could I talk about there? English class? I don't know. English isn't properly a field, you know? It's just kind of English is English. What else? What other fields? Education is my field. I don't really know It does repeat itself, but that could be interesting, actually, now that I'm thinking about that one. The idea of education in that one has some potential. But I've been writing about education a lot in front of you guys, and I want to try something different. And I think that one's the least wacky, and I want to get wacky. They literally use the word wacky up here. I want to point that out. They say downright wacky. So it's not my words, theirs. In the spirit of adventurous inquiry, choose one of our past prompts. Okay, all right, I take it back. It's not completely useless then. This video could help you in the future. Maybe these will be the past prompts that you want to go with. On that note, there are some really funny ones here, like what can actually be divided by 0. I helped somebody work on that last year. That was fun. Yeah, they have a bunch of ones. They have a bunch of crazy ones. I remember this one too. Yeah, there's a lot you can have fun with here. What's so odd about odd numbers? You know, there's a lot of things you can look at here. I think these are really cool prompts, and I love that they come from students. Pardon me, a little raspy today. So right now, I'm gonna start doing a little bit of brainstorming, and this is, sir, I think that we've talked about outlining in some of my other videos where I've worked on other types of essays, but I haven't talked to you much about just the importance of brainstorming, especially when you're dealing with a more creative prompt. So I want to talk about that just a little bit. I think it's very important for you to have a bit of an attack plan for your essays, especially when they're going to be creative. And the easiest way to do that is to really sit down and start coming up with good ideas and sort of map out how you could execute those ideas. And I think that I'm not going to look at each and every prompt here, because as I just kind of skimmed over those prompts, I got a pretty good idea of which ones kind of spoke to me more and gave me more inspiration. While there are some in here that I think are pretty funny and interesting, I don't know that I got like a spark for those at the moment. And I want to kind of follow where my inspiration is leading me and sort of let it flow. I think that's important with writing. Don't fight it. Don't second guess those intuitions. Okay. If you feel like, ooh, that prompt got my attention, that's a sign, and you should stick to that. You should follow that. Go down that road. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Another thing I wanted to point out about these that I can show you here real quick that it's important to point out is that there is no word limit as far as I can tell. They are called extended essays, which they don't say how extended it needs to be. But even if you go into the Common App and you look at where they ask you to apply for this stuff, in University of Chicago, they give you all the prompts, you mark which one you want, and then it says upload your response here, and the only limit is the 2,000 kilobyte limit. So, I mean, in theory, you could go pretty ham on these. It seems like you could. So before we start writing, I want to get back to my notes a little bit, and I'm going to bust out the pen a little. I want to go back to the prompts. I'm going to pick up prompt number 2 because I like that one. That one kind of got my attention. What's so easy about pi? And I'm going to pick up prompt number 4 because that one got me a little fired up. I felt like I had more to say about this one. But I'm going to explore both of these for now. The others... History repeats itself. Like, I don't know. I feel like my answer to this would be sad and boring, and I kind of want to have more fun. So I might normally look at this fifth one a little bit more with you guys, but today I'm not going to. I'm going to just stick to these. All right, so let's take a look at these for a second. So I like this first question about pi because it's just so simple. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and start answering that question. What's so easy about pi? I mean, making it, is that easy? I mean, what do you do with pi, right? I'm going to just start thinking about connections. What do I do with pi? You make pi and then you eat pie. That's like basically the two things that happen with pie, right? You make pie, then you eat pie. Maybe throw it in someone's face. I used to have Nickelodeon game shows when I was a kid. Okay, that was like the original Squid Game, was Nickelodeon game shows. We didn't kill our participants, but, you know, we all like to imagine that when you were watching Legends of the Hidden Temple, that those temple guards did some horrible things to your friends on TV. So that's a possibility. aside from these things, I don't know what else you do with pies. I really don't have a lot more to say about that. So out of these things, I mean, this requires some difficulty. You know, this is somewhat hard because you got to have a good throwing arm and good aim, and it has to be the right kind of pie, and the person's face has to stay where you want it to stay, or you have to lead it. Like hitting someone in the face with a pie is harder than it looks. Making the pie, that can be hard. That can be tough. Like that could be difficult. So obviously the easiest thing about pie is eating the pie. That's definitely the easiest part about pie, in my opinion. So the other thing I'm thinking about here is like, is this the kind of conclusion someone else is going to arrive to? Am I really, this other prompt about originality has me thinking about my originality right now. Like, is this the exact same brainstorm that 20 other people have made and are about to send over to this university? Like, am I really contributing anything to the conversation by saying how easy it is to eat pie? I feel like that's a pretty obvious answer. It is a wacky prompt. I feel like it deserves a wacky response, but that's the facts. I mean, that's what's easy about pie. I don't know. I'm trying to think what else I could maybe connect this to. I think like, so my mom made good pies. She still does. She made pies. Maybe I could think about that a little bit. Maybe like it's easy to eat, and that is like a metaphor for life. Like, yeah, it's easy to eat it, but it's not good for you. So maybe easy things are not good for you. That could be a thing. Like, it's easy, but that's bad. That's bad, you know, because we want challenges and stuff. I mean, that's one way I guess I could take this pie topic. I don't know. I'm not sold. I'm not totally sold yet. What else we got? Just moving my chat around here. Let me put a pin in the pie for a second and just sort of focus on, that was an ugly line. Let's try this now. Let's do a more pretty line. Okay. No such thing as a new idea. Just different combination of old ideas. I think this is an interest. I'm feeling like this topic is somewhere I have more to say, and I like that. If I wanted to just dive into this a little bit, I mean, just running off some of my first ideas here. Wrong. I'm going to say blatantly wrong, because new things come into existence. Like, okay, hear me out, but can you really tell me that, like, with the internet age, there are lots of new ideas, lots of things that are not just regurgitated past things? I mean, I look at all the memes that are out there, right? Memes, like, as a concept, that didn't exist, you know? Like, you didn't have, you know, Renaissance painters putting funny jokes on their art. And that's something we can do thanks to Photoshop and modern internets. And I feel like that's just one example of some of the new ideas that have emerged in recent years, which leads me to think that Twain's perception of this is wrong, because he's only thinking about it from his context. Like, he's assuming that nothing new will ever be invented. And that's easy to understand in the 1800s, but like, look at today. Look how much technology has advanced and how that has created new problems and new solutions and new everythings. And like, I don't think it's fair to say that those are not original, or that these media in which we make art today, like video games, for example, that's an entirely new art form, and it is an art form. And I don't care what you tell me, there's never been anything like that before. So while, yeah, modern things build on previous things, I think there's another issue here, which is the word original. And we can talk about that. Like, I think that this word original today gets used as like unique, right? But then here's the thing. So the idea of it being unique or never before seen, you know, I think is sort of what we think of when we think of original. And The reason I'm talking about this is because I want to make sure I define this term in my essay. Like, I have to kind of present a thesis to this, and my thesis here is that this is wrong, but it's wrong because of our understanding of original. I think that that's the issue here. It's like we want to expect to never before see something. We want to see something completely brand new, and that really truly is impossible. But that is the wrong definition of the word original. Like, that is the word unique. That is the word unprecedented, perhaps. Original means it comes of an origin, or it has to do with something of an origin of the very beginning of the past. Like, so in a way, every combination of old ideas is in fact original because it is going back to our origins. I think that's an essay. I think that's the key thing. And I know a little bit about this, by the way, because I know a little bit about the etymology of the word original, and it has to do with the original sin of Adam and Eve. And like, that concept is very loaded with ideas, but I think that that's something we can work with here. I like this. I kind of think this is the direction I want to go. I like the idea of talking about pie, though. Like, I think I could make a goofy essay about how eating pie is so simple and how that's a metaphor for life. But like, I feel like the better essay I'm going to write is the Mark Twain essay. I don't know. It's so hard to decide. If only chat would like help me out. I'm going to start though by doing what I always do, which is a little bit of outlining. And I think I'll give each one a try, but let's start with the Mark Twain one, because that's kind of where I'm leaning. And I sort of want to go in that direction a little bit more. So let's embiggen this a little bit for you guys. All right. So my kind of main idea is that yes, there are original ideas. Mark Twain is wrong. And I want to focus on the word original. Like, the idea that we say original is unique, but bad because original, you know, so then it asks me also to analyze something and explain whether or not it's original. And I think that's where I can go into maybe some things that I like that could be connected to this sort of definition that I have created, you know? I think I'm instantly leaning towards South Park as original. I think that it has a couple good cases for why it's original, in that it is, you know, it taps into a very primal need in humanity, which is comedy, laughter, satire. The ability to make fun of and ridicule is something that is deeply ingrained in us. I think that if we want to really draw this original sin connection, like, you know, mocking God was kind of the original sin, and if we talk about that, South Park's done that better than anyone else. I think there's a good case that could be made for like my redefinition of original, South Park being original, get a couple of examples of those moments in the show where we see that originality, where we see that raw primal humanity in that art. And that could be a good case for why it's original, you know? I think that, yeah, I want to take some time also to sort of elaborate on this stuff. You know, I want to elaborate a little bit more on this about why these ideas are wrong. The idea that a new combination of ideas is in itself a new idea. Like, modern ideas are complex. Like, that's another point I kind of want to drive home here, is that you can't just say, oh, well, you just put two other things together and that's not original. Because if I'm the first person to put those two things together, that's an original thought, okay? Like, one day there was a guy with a peanut butter sandwich. There was another guy with a jelly sandwich. And one day those two dudes met and went to high-five each other and accidentally slapped their sandwiches together and got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And they both felt like lightning bolt hit them right in the nose, like they were geniuses. And if nobody had ever done that before, then those guys did have an original idea. I don't care if they just combined two things that already existed. That doesn't mean they were not original. So I want to attack that idea of this argument that they presented to me first. And I think that that's fair. I think that's justified. The idea that you have to come up with some pure new concept is flawed. Now, I think I can work on this. I think I can make something out of this. I'm going to give it a shot. All right, so that's what I want to do. And then I do want to tie this slightly into myself. Like, I know it said not to write about me. I'm not the topic of this. But that's where I think that I could maybe expand on this idea of original, new ideas, and maybe bring it back to the university a little bit. Maybe bring it back to Chicago. Like, can I bring it back to Chicago a little bit? Just try to kind of tie it up together a little bit for the university and be like, hey, you know, maybe, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is that these guys gave me these ideas, right? They've inspired me to think at least a little differently for this exercise. And by doing that, maybe I'll come up with some new ideas while I'm there. I think that could be a good, simple enough ending. So far, we've done a little bit of brainstorming in a couple of different phases. I want to go over what we've done already. So we looked at all the essay prompts for the second extended essay for Chicago. And to do that, you know, I just went through each one and I tried to listen to my instinct. What is telling me, hey, this is a good idea? I got excited about this one right away. I also got excited about this one right away. I had some ideas for this, but none that really like sold me. And obviously, if I were doing this for real for my application, I probably would give this more thought than just this afternoon. And I would probably come back to this and rethink about it and maybe work on one and come back and see it again another day after sleeping on it, or, you know, taking some time to really look at what I had written. We're going to not do that. We're going to do this in a live stream today. So I'm trying to go a little bit quicker, but I want you to understand that's the process. Like, listen to your instinct and say, ooh, which prompt got my attention? And for me, the second and fourth got my attention, but once I really started mapping out my ideas here, the second one really, second of the two that I chose, the fourth one really got my attention more because it got me a little fired up and in the mode of like debate. So that's always good. If I feel like arguing with somebody, it's probably a good idea. So yeah, we're going to bring it here. All right, so let's get our type on. I want to start out then with this. I want to go back to this prompt. No such thing as a new idea. I think it would be good for me to attack this, but also present my idea about redefining original early on. So we could obviously make that question a little nicer sounding later, but we'll just go with that. What does original mean? Yeah, you know, let's start with that. Say to me, I'm obviously me. So yeah, I'm going into some my interpretation of this definition to start out. I want to start with this original idea and how, this idea that is presented in this prompt is definitely wrong because of this misunderstanding of the word original, and this misunderstanding is leading us to believe that nothing can be a new idea, nothing can be novel or interesting. And I disagree with that. And I think I've made that clear at this point. And I'm trying to attach it to that idea of original being unique, but unique being impossible. I think I can also go back into this outline and add a little bit more content in terms of that idea of combining old, not equaling new ideas. And I want to redefine to say that like a new idea, as I said with the PB&J example, can be a new combination. I think that's fair. I think I can also make a point about that somewhere in here. So, okay. All right, something to be unique must be one of a kind. No trace under the lineage can be found. This is where it gets tricky for such act. Yeah, I think I sprinkled in a little bit of sarcasm and kind of like casual downplay here. I'm just trying to sort of, ease us in. I don't want to get too serious about this idea of sin, right? I'm trying to keep it light. I'm trying to keep it focused on the word original. So I'm trying to kind of like downplay the word sin by calling it my friend and, jokingly say, oh yeah, we weren't trying to say, wow, that sin was so original. Like, trying to have a little bit of fun with the concept because I'm introducing something that for some people can invoke some pretty heavy ideas. And I think it's good to like, keep it kind of light. I'm not trying to go off on a religious tangent here. I'm just trying to kind of draw your connections to a different way of thinking of this idea. Like I want you to think about original, not as the, wow, that's so unique, but as that was the first of something. That was the beginning. It's more about the time, right? When it happened. Well, I said I wasn't going to go on a religious tangent, but I think I am going to go just a little bit on one here. Maybe I'll backtrack on that a little bit. Yeah. All right, so I think at this point I've done enough justifying. Like I'm at, what am we at now? About 300 or so here? 274? Yeah, that seems about right. So yeah, like I think around here I have constructed a pretty solid argument for like redefining the word original, right? So I'm starting out with this idea that we tend to misdefine it as unique. Instead, I'm saying that it's not really unique, and unique itself is impossible. If we want to define things as unique, then yes, this idea is right, but I think that's wrong. And so, based on these points here, nothing can really be unique, but the word original can still work if we take it back to this original, see what I did there? Definition. You know, that original definition actually shows us what the word original means. So its emphasis landed on the fact that it was the first such act. From that point forwards, you didn't have original sins. So I make this logical conclusion, right? Then the most original sin you could create would not be the most unique, but rather doing the thing that they did the first time. And so by twisting this definition of original, I think I have arrived at a good argument for something that might be controversial. I'm actually now thinking about abandoning South Park and going into... So I had this idea of South Park as like speaking to those original feelings in the sense that like they talk about primal things, but then this also has me thinking, what if I just go into like, you know, Star Wars Episode 7 and just like build that whole essay? Because honestly, like that movie was, it was loved and hated for the very same reason that it felt like a total ripoff of the first movie. And I think I'm making a case here why that is actually the most original Star Wars work since the first one. Because it is the most like the first one. And therefore it's original. It's the definition of original. All right. Star Wars Episode 7 it is. Only seen it once, but I think I can make it work. So, when did that come out? (2015). Jeez, that was 2015 already? My goodness. It did get pretty good reviews, actually. Yeah, actually 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's actually a good point to use in my favor. I like that. That supports my argument. We're going to use that. We're going to cherry pick those tomatoes. I'll stop. Okay. Let me drop a few lines for you people. My letters got tiny. Want to look up that year too? I forget. I think it was 77. When did that come out? 77. Yeah, I know my stuff. All right, so I think I've crafted a pretty solid argument for this right now. This idea that like the episode 7 is so much like episode 4 that you could take a time traveler from 1977, drop him in a modern theater, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm watching the same movie." And obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit here with that, but I think that is a good way to sell it, like to really drive home this point that this is the definition of original. Like someone from that time could see this new thing that is essentially the same as the old thing and have just as much fun with it and not even be able to tell it apart. I think that is sort of like a really good exaggerated metaphor for this, like to really bring a time traveler in there, if I may say so myself. You may notice I'm just trying to diversify my vocabulary a little bit, like flexing some like temporal vagrant. I didn't want to say time traveler again. I wanted to come up with a different way to say it. So I call him a temporal vagrant, you know? I mean, I'm assuming he's just sort of wandering time. All right. He's a vagrant. He's like asking for change in the future because of inflation. Then he takes it home and he's rich. Something like that. Like the Goobacks episode of South Park. So I think we're looking pretty good here so far. I never recognize the same actors. And I don't know, I might cut this detail out, but I was just thinking, what else would some time traveler see in the movie theater? Like, to me, the only other thing you would notice is like, if I were from the 70s, I'd be like, oh, that's weird. There's a bunch of people in this theater and their faces are glowing. Like, you'd be you'd be a little confused, right? You'd be like, how come all their faces are glowing and looking down? What's down there? What is there, like another projector on the floor that is closer so it looks better? Like 1970s guy would be extremely confused by cell phones in the theater, because you'd be like, why would you pay to go to this place just to look at this little thing that you have all the time? Like, it really doesn't make sense. And if you're the kind of person that stares at their phone in the theater, don't, please. All right, so I think I'm getting there, getting kind of where I want to be. All right, I think I have to finish this off with one more point here. Like, actually, I want to expand on this idea of, there's nothing wrong with being original or being exactly as you were before, but I want to make it clear that, like, we do need to have progress. We do need to have forward motion. I want to try this to me and like tie this to the university just a little bit somehow. I'm trying to think of how to do that. That's the tricky part. Like trying to kind of tie this back to the university just a little bit to give it a little bit more sense and meaning to them. At the same time, I don't think that's necessary for the record. If you're watching and you just don't want to do it that way, don't do it that way. But I want to. I kind of want to try to bring it full circle and bring this concept back. So I think that I've given this good argument for why original can be interpreted as going back to your origins or having to do with your origins and therefore being similar to the first thing that happened, and that being a good thing. And that being the case in this Star Wars film, which was to some degree mocked for being the same as the fourth episode. I think that holds really well. This last bit here where I'm talking about this idea of how your origin only gains meaning when you get away from it, when you get, to your destination or head towards your destination, I think that's a very true point. Like if you think about your personal life, when you travel, right, you leave your home, fly to some other city, and come back to your home. And it's when you're on your way back from that trip that you're returning to your origins and you're thinking about them in a new way because you've just been out in this other place and you have something to compare it to. And I think that's something that I could kind of link in here. This idea that, going to this university is leaving my origins, and I look forward to that because I want to see how I can return to my origins later and be different and bring them back in a new way. And I think that can work. I think this is okay. I think I didn't want to say the university. I didn't want to like go that cheesy, like that in your face about it, but I think this is okay. I know they said don't talk about yourself. Like if we go back to the prompt, they say pick something, anything besides yourself. But I think I've done that. I think I've earned the right to talk about me a little bit. And if that's just a couple sentences, I think that's fair. They asked me to do something. I did the thing. Now I get to say what I want. And so I think I've kind of given this. Let's take a look at this. How much do we have here? I think we're over 5. Yeah, 677 is definitely a good number. That's about the size of a personal statement. That's a thick boy. It's not, super chunky, but it's thick. Yeah, I'm happy with this right now. I'm looking at this. So again, just to kind of recap where I went with this. Again, I started out with this idea of how I could refute the original statement, redefine the word original. I ended up abandoning my original. I'm looking at that. My original ideas at the beginning, because I wanted to redefine this a little bit. And I think that I arrived at the idea of it being related to the beginning, or the first thing that you do, the first such act. And therefore, nothing else can be original unless it's that. And by making that argument, I think I've built this case for why you could consider episode 7 the most original work. If again, by original, you mean same as before. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. That doesn't have to mean that it's dull or that it's wrong. It's just like that. And sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes that's healthy. All right. I just got this little something I can't get out of here. So that to me is a solid argument. I buy that argument. I think it's different. I don't think this is the case that they are typically making here. Not that I really care if my essay is different from everyone else's or not, but this is my idea. So don't steal my essays and use them for your applications, okay? Like, don't. If I find out you did that, I send these videos everywhere and let people know. Not really, but I should, because that is a real problem. Plagiarism on the internet is real, people. And I would like to point out that if you plagiarize your essays, you're lame, and you shouldn't do that. That's lame. Don't be like that, okay? Because it's just not cool, man. Don't steal people's work. But it hasn't happened to me yet, at least that I know of, and I kind of don't really care that much. But I just don't want to see people not taking the advantage of these opportunities to write something like more fun. I'm gonna leave this though in the description. I am gonna leave a link to this to PurposeScore.com like I've done before with the other ones, so you guys can check out my work here and kind of use it for yourselves. That's one of the other reasons I post those, by the way, on PurposeScore.com, because that way if you do rip them off and somebody Googles them, they're gonna find them from there. And I want to make them available for people who would like to use them as a case study. Obviously I could make this much, much better by going through and doing like a second round. And maybe I'll do that one night with you guys, like an editing round or something like that. So you can kind of see how I edit my work more intensely and maybe try to make it, bring it up. I have a tendency, and I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. I mean, I am awesome, but I have a tendency to write it right the first time. I do a lot of article writing for money. That means if I have to edit that work, that's money lost. That's time I could have been spending writing another article for money. So the last thing I want to do is have to rewrite my stuff because I screwed something up. So I try to write close to perfectly all the time, which means minimal spelling and grammar errors. I don't think you'll see much of any issues here. So once I kind of know that my quality, my technical quality is perfect, then I can go back and actually review a little bit. I'm sure there's some extra words in here that I don't need. I'm sure there's some, little things that I could improve. But point is, I want to try to write in a way that doesn't require me to do massive rewrites later. If I do, it's because I got a better idea. And I still have my outline to kind of go on that's going to help me out. So hopefully this is helpful for you to give you some ideas, maybe how you can approach these types of essays, the kind of things you can write, what you want to say. I know that no two essays on prompts like these creative prompts are going to be the same, but I do think it does help to examine someone else's creative style and their approach, and just to see, okay, maybe they're doing something that I can try to do to improve my work. Maybe there's some trick they have that helps me. For me, it was learning to outline and really learning to explore ideas and then be willing to abandon them at any time for a better idea. And that's something that I tried to apply today that helped me out a lot. So my people, that is all that I got for you today. I'll be seeing you on Thursday. We got a new fresh video for you. And we'll also be, of course, seeing you next week, Monday too, when we do our next live. We're going to be working on some more exam-related content soon. We got more Why Peruvian Education Sucks. I saw a lot of you guys like that, so thank you. And hope you stick around and enjoy. All right? Have a wonderful